Hello, wildlings. I'm your Creepsmith, and you found my Fear Forge. Lucky you.
Tonight's tale, No One Dies at Disney by Sparked Sigma. So I visited Disney constantly when I was younger. The vibrance of the park, the fresh smell of cookies and bread, and of course, the castle that everybody loves. I loved all the attractions, the snacks, the characters. Of course, these things were meant to distract you from the deep, dark secrets below ground. The halls for the garbage, the mass shared underwear, the endless amounts of sick. I can go on, but there is one vivid fact that lingers with me ever since I left that hell on earth. No one dies at Disney. I had applied to work in the Orlando park when I finished my bachelor's, and I got lucky out of a few dozen, I think. Sure, it was a janitorial job, but nothing gave me more of a thrill than working on the same park that basically housed my childhood. And I was given decent pay, some benefits, and a shift from noon to midnight. Perfect to smell the cookies in the day and enjoy all of the fireworks at night. I worked with two people who wore the suits and were some of the greatest guys that I'd known at the park. Jim, who was tall and yet lanky enough to wear the Goofy costume, and Damien, who had the talent to voice Donald perfectly. He thus had the job of working that suit. They were amazing to work with, and they loved their roles. Of course, they were a little older than I was, so they knew more of the park than I did. When I was starting to work there, Damien was given the task of showing me around the underground. "Oh yeah, bud, you'll love working here. Of course, you'll be down here most of the time, but you'll get used to it." Damien was the giddy one with lots of energy, so I had to keep up and pay attention simultaneously. He showed me where the security room was, the suit room, the medical room, and the garbage disposal machine. And when we were there, we had to wear masks to deal with the smell. At the end of the tour, we passed a door that seemed a little bit off. There were many locks on it, and what seemed like padding surrounding the door frame. I asked what the door's purpose was, and Damien stopped. His normally cheery and boisterous demeanor shattered, and he spoke with fear and resentment. "Don't enter that door. Don't ask, don't wonder, don't attempt. Now let's get going." I was kinda scared after that, but I followed orders. I enjoyed the work that I was given, despite the area, and tolerated it for quite a while. The annual fireworks for July 4th was happening later during one particular shift, and I helped Damien and Jim into new suits. These suits were different than the others since they were made with dry fur and had plastic gloves and eyes. Jim didn't like his very much, but he had to wear it since it came with a raise, and Damien, he didn't care. They were going to stand on a raised platform and wave, so it didn't matter what suit they wore. I was a bit concerned for them, but they reassured me that it was going to be fine. I wish I had convinced them to think otherwise. Anyway, later on, the fireworks were lighting up the starry night in a blaze of glory. The kids and parents alike enjoyed the view while their pals Donald and Goofy waved at them from above. I was cleaning the underground during that time, and then something happened. Disney paramedics rushed through carrying two horribly burned suits that were crying and screaming in agony. I rushed behind and went into the medical room after them. The new Donald and Goofy suits, which were still being worn by Damien and Jim, were there. Jim had lost both his legs, half his right arm, and had fireworks embedded in his chest, while Damien's suit beak was torn straight off the jaw, which had also torn off his jaw. He was missing both arms, and the suit's legs had charred on to his own. The fireworks had tipped their stand during the takeoff and shot a big bomb right next to them, launching them into some flammable shrubbery. The sight of that made me so sick I nearly passed out. The boss came through and assured me that it would be okay, but I knew they were going to die. I ran through the underground into the bathroom and threw up and cried for my friends. Later on, their names were erased from the work schedule and their work folders were burned. The bosses and co-workers never mentioned their names again, and I heard the padded door was opened and shut. I went on to tolerate that job for the rest of the year, cleaning near their workstations occasionally and letting a tear drop. Every time I cleaned around that door, though, I would sometimes hear a knock or a whisper. And someone would say, "Buddy." Something Damien used to say to me. I shuddered every time I heard it. I went to the boss to collect my last paycheck, and I mentioned Damien's name. Who? Damien, the Donald that died in the park that summer. Then he said something that took all the magic out of the park. Don't be ridiculous. No one dies at Disney. I left with fear in my mind and a gut-wrenching feeling. Whatever was behind that door, it wasn't special or important enough for them to care. It haunts me to this day what people don't know about the darkness that surrounds the beauty and the fun of Disney. So stay scary, wildlings. Always remember to respect the explosives, even the pretty ones, and make the most of your nights.